Hi. According to Team Trump, this thing ain't over yet, despite weeks of polling showing Hillary way ahead in some cases. And the reason, as Trump puts it, the major polls show that Hillary may be ahead, but in some cases, as much as 12 points nationally, they are all skewed. He claims the pollsters are sampling more Democrats than Republicans. And he points to the Investors Business Daily poll, widely considered one of the most, if not the most accurate of all polls. It has Donald and Hillary leg-locked at 41% apiece. So, is this race over, or is it just getting warmed up? Let's ask tonight's party panel. Joining me, it's Fox News anchor Julie Banderas. She's here, she's back, and better than ever.
And nasty.
And nasty girl. Ooh, like I like it. Observer columnist Michael Malice is also here with a lovely lapel pin. And Andy Levy, whom I just saw last night. He is the co-host of Red Eye on the Fox News Channel. Welcome back, everyone. All right, so is this race over, Andy Levy?
Yeah, it's way over. Look, I wanted there to be an electoral tie just to make this even more stupid than
like
it's
Veep.
been. But it's completely over. Trump is the worst presidential candidate of my lifetime, and I was alive for Richard Nixon. Wow. So this is going to be a bloodbath of epic proportions. Look, at least with people like Goldwater and McGovern, it didn't get them anywhere, but at least they were men of conviction. Trump has absolutely no convictions. He's just this amorphous blob whose only ideology is wanting people to think he's a strong, powerful man, which he ain't. And it's going to be, it's over, it's way over. The only question is how far over 300 electoral votes Hillary gets.
I don't know. I mean, I think that that Trump certainly has a purpose at this point in history. And I think that, you know, I've said this before, I think he is a reaction to Obama. You think that Donald Trump is the worst candidate ever. Yeah. I think Hillary Clinton is an abhorrent candidate. I mean, she is morally flawed.
I do too.
Yeah.
She's the second worst candidate of my life.
Yeah, but you're shaking your head as Andy's talking.
Yeah, if you talk about amorphous people with no principles who just want to come off as a strong man, you're talking about the Romney campaign 4 years ago, and it looks like Trump's on track to have the exact same amount of electoral votes as Romney. And what we're seeing is a rise of tribalism in the sense that it doesn't matter what Team Red does or Team Blue does, those people are going to vote for their own kind. The moderates don't really exist anymore.
Yeah.
But what I'm
Independents do.
They really don't. There are people who claim they're independents, but the outcomes are the same because of the Electoral College. Yeah. So they're not distributed evenly, and where they are distributed doesn't really matter what.
Okay, but that's where I agree with Andy. Andy despises the Electoral College.
Oh, I love it. The whole point of this country was not to have the hoi polloi have a say in choosing our president. And that's exactly how it should be.
Okay.
I don't know, man.
That's how you end up with Hillary Clinton as president.
Well, you would rather have Trump?
No.
Okay. There
All
you
right,
go.
Julie, please.
Or Gary Johnson?
Make sense of this. Yeah, no, I think that'd be great. Let's talk about
Gary might have a chance in Andy
the disparity in some of these polls, though. You know, the IBD poll, New York Times called it the most accurate poll of 2012. It was within 0.9%.
Right. These were also polls that when Trump was winning were accurate. Yeah. But now that he's not winning, they're inaccurate and they're skewed and there's a conspiracy. But I have to say that the office was the Republicans' election to be lost. I mean, honestly, who can't win against Hillary Clinton? I mean, the fact that she's been caught in so many lies, the 33,000 emails, my God. I mean, the trustworthy factor, the trustworthiness, lack thereof, of her campaign and her as an elected official was none. I mean, you saw the poll numbers. From the very beginning, she was untrustworthy. And the fact that he lost or is going to lose to that is pretty shocking. But it also maybe is a slap on the wrist to the GOP, who obviously didn't put their ducks in a row.
No, I think both parties are in a shambles. I think
that would give her a run for her money. It just seems like she would have been an easy candidate to beat. It should have been. No, she should have been an easy candidate. I could have beat Hillary Clinton.
She had a war chest. She had the media behind her. And in 1992, George H.W. Bush came off the Gulf War win. His approval ratings at one point were in the 90s. Yeah. Bill Clinton had no experience as regarded as untrustworthy, and he pulled it out also. So it's not that.
But you also have to factor Ross Perot into that election.
Also, there's a big difference between 1992 Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, but I think if anything, she's more moderate and less of a radical.
But in terms of being a good candidate,
she was great at those debates.
One of his biggest strengths was also what Obama benefited from in 2008, and that's being almost entirely unknown.
Correct.
You know, to her point, we know so much about her, and every day there's something new. Whether it's from an FBI 302, the Terry McAuliffe campaign
donation.
I mean, the WikiLeaks
don't matter anymore.
You know, the Donald Duck
come out with anything. At this point, it doesn't matter.
And that's what the judge was saying.
And this is what's going to be great, because it gets people to lose faith in politics, which is the goal of people who love freedom.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think that's what Donald Trump offers here. It
Correct.
is chaos.
He's a wrecking
ball. And I think,
yes.
I disagree with many of his platforms and ideas and principles because I think they are anti-freedom. But the fact that he has come in and upended both parties.
But the thing is, look, I'm all for the GOP burning to the ground.
Yeah.
Trump is just by far the wrong arsonist.
But he did it.
That's
the only one.
Exactly right. What he did.
Who's going to be an arsonist? Paul
But
Ryan?
they needed someone else to do it. Is
Why?
the point.
Who? He did it.
Because he did a horrible job of it.
He did a great job of arsonist.
I agree with Malice. The most effective thing.
Arsonists don't build things. That's what arsonism means.
He's not an architect. He's an arsonist.
You have to be both.
Yeah. Okay, well, we have to go because we have to take deep breaths of our laughing gas. Yay. And coming up, Gary Johnson. That's some good news. He only needs to stay above 5% in the polls for the next 2 weeks, but polls suggest he's got his work cut out for him. So what does Gary really need to do to hang on? And some really bad news for the White House. Obamacare costs shooting through the roof. So what does that mean for you and your family? Start picking out your coffin. How would a libertarian fix it? Brian Brenberg, he's going to break it down. Stay with me. Mary Jane might be the big winner on Election Day. You're like, who's she? Is she running for Senate? No. 5 states voting to legalize recreational marijuana. Yeah, polls suggest that it could pass in all 5: California, Arizona, Nevada, Massachusetts, and Maine. That would bring the number of states with legal ganj up to 9. That's recreational ganj, plus Washington, D.C., of course. Weed still illegal on the federal level. That sets the stage for a potential states' rights showdown. The party panel is back. Julie Banderas, Michael Malice, and Andy Levy. So, Michael, I will start with you.
Yes.
Now, oftentimes when libertarians talk about marijuana, people assume that they're just a bunch of weed smokers who want legal drugs so they can party with their pants down. But in fact, there is a broader issue at stake. And what is that?
Yeah, this is the issue of states' rights nullification. Now, the last time we had an argument like this was in the 60s when you had the southern states refusing to recognize civil rights. So, of course, there was the taint of racism around this whole subject. Nowadays, we're seeing the federal government being repudiated on a state-by-state level, and it's the left or the moderates who are doing the repudiating, and that's great. This is a great method to dismantle Washington's stranglehold on America and to kind of break apart the congressional control of our 50 states.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is here, marijuana is so widely misunderstood because there's almost no research done on it because of the way it's scheduled.
Right, because the DEA has it scheduled as a Schedule 1 along with LSD, heroin, and things like that, because they say it has no known medical uses, which is absolutely absurd. Right. Schedule 2 drugs include Vicodin, Oxy, etc., which are a hell of a lot more powerful.
Reminds me, I got to call my pharmacist.
And addictive.
Yeah. They are powerful and
addictive. A lot much more powerful and addictive than pot is, but for some reason the stupid DEA refuses to change the scheduling.
Yeah. And the president says he can't.
But there is a reason, which is the alcohol lobby lobbies to make sure it's stigmatized.
And the pharmaceutical lobby. The makers of OxyContin and Vicodin and drugs like that don't want legal marijuana.
And listen, if you know someone who's suffering from anxiety, I don't smoke at all, but if you know someone who's suffering from anxiety, this is a much better approach than taking pills that are over the counter. It's natural and it's much more less dangerous in the mind. Well,
there are so many things, and hopefully it pushes the whole issue toward the Supreme Court.
Yes, but when it comes to marijuana, I have to just say this: medical marijuana right now, obviously, it's legal in 25 different states. It should be legal in every state because there has been medical proof that it helps. Here's my issue with recreational marijuana. How are you going to stop people from getting behind the wheel and getting on the road? How much is too much, and how are they going to test for it? Because I certainly don't want my kids growing up getting their driver's license, getting stoned, and getting on the road. I don't want them repeating history. Well, like then their mom.
That's why you live in New York City where they don't get driver's licenses.
Well, I'm just saying.
That's right.
I mean, there's no
they don't
law.
learn how to drive here.
Solution.
There's no law that says, okay, no smoking and driving. But then if you pull them over, is there a DWI test that's going to be similar?
And they can tell you how
testing
much. in Oregon and Colorado.
How much is too much, though?
When you're impaired.
That's what they're working on.
One joint, one puff of a joint?
No, it depends on the person.
Yeah,
just like, if you have 4 glasses of bourbon and I have 4 glasses of bourbon, we're going to have a great night.
My understanding is if you take just one puff of weed, you become a serial killer.
That's absolutely right. And then you bite someone's face off.
I read that
It's worse than bath salts.
Yeah.
Well, Gary Johnson's luck may be running out, but not his weed stash. A few months ago, he was pulling in double digits, but now he's plummeting from 7% to just 3% in the latest CNN ORC poll. In most elections, third-party candidates lose steam toward the big day as voters abandon their ideals for the lesser of two evils. But can he still get 5% on Election Day and therefore have some of that federal matching money? What is a minor party? What do you think? Gary Johnson, why is he plummeting?
If there's one thing libertarianism is about, it's getting federal matching money. I mean, in all seriousness, I feel bad because Matt Welch is spinning in his grave, because all these libertarians thought Gary Johnson was going to be the big savior of the Libertarian Party. Yeah. He was never going to go anywhere from the beginning. It was just like John Anderson in 1980, where, yeah, you poll high during the summer because you hate both candidates, but when push comes to shove, you really realize this other candidate is the devil, and I have to hold my nose and vote for the lesser of two evils. He was never going to go anywhere, and especially after a certain someone tore apart Bill Weld mercilessly on the air, which is absolutely beautiful to watch.
Well, thank you very much. And I have lost faith in his running mate. I do think that the Libertarian Party now has to do some soul searching about its options.
Really? Why? What difference does it make?
Come on, Hillary.
It's just, I know, seriously. Look, this was always going to happen, as you said. As you get closer to the actual election, people solidify behind the two major party candidates.
Yeah.
Could the Libertarians have done slightly better with maybe a less goofy candidate?
Herman Cain?
Or just someone who knew anything about anything?
I don't know. I mean, but
it's like it is almost like a comedy. I mean, it is like a drama / comedy. I mean, if you look at the two main candidates, then you look at Gary Johnson. I mean, are you kidding?
But if ever there were a year for someone to come forward and be like,
this would have been the year.
I'm gonna stay out of your life.
But here's the problem. There has to be. I think what we learned is there has to be that sweet spot where the major party candidates are really bad, but not really, 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 really bad.
Exactly.
And what's happening now is so many people think Trump is the worst thing in the world. Other people think Hillary is the absolute worst thing in the world.
They're so bad that people are passionately voting against
them, and so they won't vote third party. So the Libertarians, they sort of missed the sweet spot. Also, Evan McMullen in places like Utah, but in places like Utah is really hurting Gary Johnson.
He's as sweet as a salt
you talk about getting the 5%. If Evan McMullen gets over 20% or whatever in Utah, that really hurts Gary Johnson's chances of getting 5% nationally.
It's not places like Utah, it's Utah.
Yeah.
It's literally only
That's
Utah.
It. Yeah, it's only Utah.
Okay, and maybe Idaho.
Places like Utah. That's what I said.
All right, very good. The party panel returns in a little bit. Are college Republicans afraid to publicly endorse Donald Trump on campus? We'll tell you what's driving them underground into a bunker. But first, more bad news for Obamacare. It's getting a lot worse. Brian Brenberg joins me to break it down and explain we're all gonna die. Yay! All right, an article in today's Washington Post claims many college Republicans are going silent on endorsing Donald Trump for fear of retribution from their peers. Some on campus GOP clubs have reportedly refused to endorse Trump, whereas on other campuses, shocking, Trump 2016 has been reported as a hate crime. So A, are millennials being too sensitive? Or B, what the hell ever happened to universities being the beacon of free speech? Now, we know that time is long past. The party panel is back. Julie Banderas, Michael Malice, and Andy Levy. So is it being a Trump supporter or a college Republican?
It's being a college Republican. I mean, it's not easy to walk around campus and not have people throwing stones at you as a Republican. But then as a Trump Republican, it's even worse. So Trump is just making it that much harder. Overall, the whole college system is liberal. The administration, it's all liberal. The teachers are jamming, liberal ideas down these vulnerable, young, impressionable minds. But with a Trump, I mean, then yes.
Okay, here's the deal. Like, when I went to college, I really cared about my GPA. I wanted to maintain as high of a GPA as I possibly could. But if I didn't care, regardless of my political ideology, if I just wanted to rabble-rouse, I would be the loudest, most full-throated Trump supporter in the world, just because I know it would make my professors and TAs and fellow students so uncomfortable.
I did that, and I almost got one of my professors fired, which you can read about in my biography, Ego and Hubris. But coming from, this is not new. The progressives seized universities in the early 1900s. Look at Woodrow Wilson being president, I think, of, what was it, Princeton, and then becoming president. This has been their goal for 100 years, to train young minds to be the shock troops to spread evangelical progressivism throughout America. And being raised in a Soviet household, I knew from a young age, when people have power over you, they're going to use that power to hurt you for whatever reason they like. So these college kids are being very smart because they know how the system works.
Oh, that's so sad, though, because they've grown to be so subservient.
Yeah, well,
and
that's
dependent
what progressivism means, being subservient to the state.
That version of the state is.
Yes.
It's awful.
But yeah, like Michael says, this is nothing new. I mean, I went to college back in the 80s, the 1980s, not 18.
No.
And
look at my buggy.
yeah. And we had the same thing. I and some other people, we started an alternative newspaper on campus, which was conservative / libertarian / whatever, and we got a lot of crap for it. And you just, you either learn to put up with it, or you revel in it, or you just ignore it.
Yeah.
And look, some of these GOP clubs refusing to endorse Trump, I don't think that's because they're scared. I think it's because they don't like Trump.
Yeah.
So you got to also split that out.
Are you telling me he's not popular with the young people?
I think he might not be.
All right. Look at this. Last week, a 63-year-old man in Rhode Island wrote a letter to the editor telling women over 20 who wear yoga pants, quote, "On mature adult women, there is something bizarre and disturbing about the appearance made in public. To all yoga pant wearers, I struggle with my own physicality as I age. I don't want to struggle with yours." This has prompted a national outcry, culminating in a 400-person parade of yoga pants wearers outside his house. Is this an overreaction, or should he be prosecuted in The Hague for crimes against humanity? Julie, where do you stand on yoga pants?
I think that women who protest about something like this need to find something else to protest about. Maybe equal rights, equal, let's say, pay. But I mean, to sit there and argue that you can't wear something because a man told you not to, I mean, who cares? I mean, you take those tight thighs or flabby thighs and put them in anything you want.
All right. Andy?
Yeah, I'd imagine caring enough about what some random dude thinks to parade past his house.
It almost makes
what
women
the
look
hell
worse.
is
It
wrong
makes
with
us
this
look
country? Like some idiot writes a dumb letter to the editor, and instead of just reading it and going, "Oh, you're a jerk,"
Now,
and
who
moving on.
do you want to not march past your
Yeah,
house?
I wrote a bunch of letters to the editor complaining about the free the nipple movement because I think women should never be topless in public. So I'm in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, ladies, so please come protest. And I hate free sushi delivered to my house. I hate it.
There you go. There are your marching orders. Panel, thank you very much. Andy, Michael, and Julie. Just 3 love bugs, right?